Hello, morning. Good morning from over here. Let's try to look at the English Concord. Can we just do something that is, a little bit of fun, but we learn from it? It is a very common error. Very common error. So we see that sometimes when we make sentence, because the aim of, communication, the aim of, conversation is to make meaning, right? Remember that Confucius statement that says, if a sentence is not correct, what is said is not what is meant. And when what is said is not what is meant, what ought to be done remains undone. So whether you are communicating within your age group, within your contemporary, or internationally or locally, the aim is to make sense, right? The aim is for meaning to be captured, for the conversation to be understood, right? So let's talk about Concord. Concord, English Concord, that has to do with agreement within sentences, agreement. So we see that obviously sometimes, remember, this is not just an error that occurs within second language users. It also occurs among the first language users, the native speakers, right? So now, I said Concord, very important. Very, very important. English Concord, that agreement within sentences, that agreement within a sentence, that agreement that the subject has to agree with the verb. The subject has to agree with the verb. Let's take, for instance, let's just take one sentence, because you see it is very common among the literates, among the semi-literates, among the illiterates, very common. Obviously, we commit always Concord errors. Wouldn't you love to, write so that at least minimally to be error-free? I said minimally. I didn't say maximally, minimally. So now let's take one sentence. Before we go to the sentence proper, let's look at the rule of Concord. So the rule of Concord in English says, if the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural, okay? So that means anytime you are making a statement or a sentence, check whether your subject agrees with your verb. So if the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural. Now, do you know your singular subjects and your singular verbs? Do you know them? For instance, you know when a word, a noun, a plural, an item is singular, and when it is plural, right? And you know when a verb is singular and when a verb is plural. For instance, if a child, singular, children, plural, right? If person, singular, persons, plural. People, as a word in English, is plural, right? So now, you know your verb. When a verb is singular, for instance,